Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's design chat, I want to talk to you about being a female in the design industry. Now, I'm very lucky that I have not felt like I've been discriminated against in any way because of my gender when applying for a job or when working at a company, and I know that I'm very lucky because of that. I'm very thankful for it because I know that that is not the same situation that everyone's in. I mean, discrimination based on gender happens across the world, no matter what industry you're in, I'm sure. I can't personally speak to whether it's worse in the design industry than in others, but today I want to talk to you about what I've noticed about the gender gap in design. So when I was at university, if I'm remembering correctly, the majority of my class were female, and this was in the graphic design major that I was a part of. I think when you look over to animation and motion graphics, perhaps that was a bit more male dominated, but for the most part, my experience at university was that there were more female designers than there were male. When I went into my first job after university, I was at a very small company and I was the only designer for a time, and I also worked with both a male and a female designer at varying points. So again, I didn't really notice it that much, but that was when I was doing print design. When I made the switch over to working in tech and being a web designer, that is when I noticed that the design world there is very male dominated. I joined the company as the second female designer, and I think there were maybe like 8 or so designers total. So, that ratio is not great already. But then by the time I left, I think we were up to like 20 designers total, maybe more. And from what I can remember, there were only 4 of us who were female. Again, like I said at the start, I was never treated any differently because I was a woman, but it's just interesting to note that most of the designers that were working on the team and were hired were male. And I didn't really notice until recently, but because I did a lot of my learning at this role, it was amazing for, increasing my design knowledge about web design in particular and growing my skills. But because I was learning in that male-dominated environment, I think it had a big impact on my design style. And it's not just this work environment that I was in, but actually I feel like the whole tech design industry is dominated by white male designers. I don't know if saying that white males dominate the design industry is a fact. I don't actually have any statistics on it, and it might turn out to be more diverse than we think. It's just that white males are who we see speaking at conferences and talking about design, writing about design. They're the ones who are speaking confidently about it. And I suppose that comes with the privilege that happens when you are a white male, that you have that air of confidence more naturally than perhaps someone who isn't. Just an idea. Again, I don't have the stats on that, but it seems likely. And yeah, a lot of the design discussion that I see online does come from a lot of males, and there's very few female voices in the conversation. Just by the way, I'm not at all trying to attack anyone by saying this. I have many good friends who just so happen to be white male designers, and they're lovely people, but I think it's important to talk about these things because diversity is needed and we can all learn from it, and I think it's a good thing to have this discussion. Right now, at my current job, I am on a very small marketing team. It's just me, the designer, another woman, Danny, who is our writer, and then our male manager, Barrett. We were having a discussion the other day when I was showing some designs to them, asking for feedback, and Barrett commented that the look of them was very white male millennial, and I sort of thought about it and realized that, I don't know, perhaps the fact that I've been surrounded by so many males throughout my web design, current, outside of school, I suppose, learning, that my style has unintentionally been influenced by that. And I reflected on when I was creating these designs that I showed to my team and realized that a lot of times I would be heading in one direction and then stop myself because I'd be thinking, no, that's too girly, let's, shift it back a bit. In my own stuff, as you'll know if you watch my videos or my vlogs or whatever, I don't shy away from more feminine elements like soft colors and script fonts, I go full in on them. But I don't know, I somehow had in my mind that my professional design couldn't look too feminine because that wasn't professional. And excuse my language, but that is just bull. So we had this awesome chat within our team about connecting with that feminine energy and bringing that out in design more, and how that's totally okay and will fit in absolutely perfectly with our target audience and, our aims and what we're doing. And so I shouldn't be afraid of that. Design shouldn't have a gender. I mean, it's just bloody pixels. And so this is not something that I should be worrying about. Anyway, I don't really know what my point is with this video. I just wanted to talk about my experience as a woman in the design industry and how I've been affected, not in a necessarily negative way, by being surrounded by a lot of male designers. Like I've said many times before, I don't want this to just be a one-way discussion. I really want to know what you think about this. So in your career or your industry, your school or whatever, what's your experience with gender diversity in design? I'd love to hear about it down below in the comments. It would also be really cool if you wanted to leave links to your favorite female or non-binary designers down below in the comments, because I'm sure those voices are out there. It's just that they're not as loud as the main ones that we see. So I want to try and make sure that I involve more of them in my feed and in my life so that I can get inspired from much more diverse sources, if that makes sense. Yeah, let me know what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more just chats like this, I suppose. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.